Good afternoon and welcome to St. John Lutheran Church and this fourth and final concert of the debut season of Roanoque Baroque. We're glad to have you here at St. John with us today and also our live streaming audience. For those who are here, I've just been overwhelmed and really happy that about 300 to 500 other people have joined us for these concerts over the course of the live streaming. So you're just a sample of all the people that have come across the entire country and around the world, perhaps, who've been able to join us for Roanoque Baroque this season. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Today we start with a sprightly, not overture, but scene from George Friedrich Handel and his wonderful oratorio, Solomon. And Kevin's going to show Handel here in just a moment for us. This is our featured beginning artist. You know his dates are just about the same as Johann Sebastian Bach, who comes up later, but he lived a little bit longer. And he wrote an incredible series of oratorios, 16 of them on biblical themes that really changed his career late in his life when he was working in London. And the Archbishop forbade opera during Lent. And Handel had no source of income and no way to sustain himself or his musicians, but the Archbishop would let them perform biblical oratorios in concert settings, and so that's what they did. And it was so popular, he quit writing operas altogether and turned to writing oratorios completely at that point. Today we feature, in the next slide, the entrance of the Queen of Sheba to Solomon's court. Solomon, of course, the wise king, the second king of Israel after David, and reputed to be wise, that is, but even on Mother's Day, I'm not sure how wise he was with 600 wives. I don't see that. But nonetheless, the Queen of Sheba knew that he was wise and rich and came to see the opulence of his court, and that painting really has a wonderful vision of Solomon's court, his house, and she came to see the amazing wealth, the amazing sophistication, all the way from Africa, and brought incredible gifts of gold and rare items to add to the impressiveness of his court. And so Handel took this moment out of the story of Solomon and wrote this beautiful procession of the Queen of Sheba. We think of composers in the first frame picture of Handel in their sort of sartorial magnificence with their wigs, but sometimes they didn't have those wigs on. And this is Handel worrying about his next piece, I think, that he's writing at his desk. And perhaps trying to figure out what to do in the midst of these oratorios, because it was very fashionable to have an all-day long entertainment. So a mere 3 or 4 hour opera or oratorio would not have been sufficient in that time period. I guess it's because people had nothing else to do. They had nothing, TV to watch or sporting events to go to. So it really was the entire day's kind of entertainment. And in the midst of these wonderfully expansive storytelling pieces, Handel wrote interlude music that would be played in between the acts or in between the scenes. And on one particular occasion, an event for St. Cecilia's Day celebration, we believe, and the piece was called Alexander's Feast, a wonderful storytelling of the tale of Alexander the Great and the musicians that surrounded him. Handel wrote these intermission moments, concertos, small concertos for various instruments, some for the organ, which he probably played himself, and also some of the first settings of harp concertos that we know of Handel's writing. And this particular piece is a 3-movement concerto for the harp, a brilliant, fun opening allegro that sounds a little bit like a sea shanty, lots of color, lots of dance to it, a beautiful and lyric second movement, and then a fast and exciting third movement. And we are wonderfully privileged to have with us here in Roanoke a wonderful harp artist who calls Roanoke her home, and we're just delighted to welcome, as part of this concert, Rachel O'Brien. Rachel, join us. We have a bit of a stage break here between the wonderful concerto for harp and this next rather bit of comic opera by Johann Sebastian Bach. As you can see, he's a very serious composer. Score in hand, the exact number of buttons according to his numerology that were appropriate to put on a composer's waistcoat and sleeve. But we rather think that in the moment, Bach was thinking something else entirely. Probably he was thinking about one of the most popular things of the day for Bach and his sons, and his daughters too, we imagine, when they played in the local coffee shop more frequently even than they did in the church. And Kevin has a picture of Bach, perhaps in another mood that he might be seen in. With one of the most famous Bach coffee quotes that later on in the opera, his daughter Lieschen sings for us. Without my morning coffee, I'm just like a dried up piece of roast goat. So Bach did indeed love his coffee, but it was sort of a joke about town. And in this particular piece, one of Bach's stunning cantatas, and you probably know that he wrote about 300 or so cantatas for church services on Sunday morning. But he wrote two cantatas that told stories about life in his times. One called the Peasant Cantata, about rustic people out in the countryside doing what they do. And this other one about, well, frivolous people in the city doing what they do. And it's called the Coffee Cantata. And it's very much structured like a regular church cantata with recitatives and arias and a big trio at the end. But this one is a rather silly piece, quite frankly, bordering on comic opera. It's the story of this poor man, Mr. Schlendrian, who, a.k.a. might be Bach himself, and his daughter, Lizzie, or Lieschen, perhaps one of Bach's 12 daughters, represented here in the story. And her addiction to coffee, really, and his frustrating attempts to try to stop this and turn her into a respectable citizen. And we'll try to tell that along the way with some wonderful singers and all the drama that goes with this. But don't be left out. Well, you can't drink coffee during this. We have an incredible coffee reception for everyone at the end of the concert today. So please linger and join us, because in honor of Bach and the coffee cantata, we have to share in a bit of that today. So the orchestra may just take a moment to retune and settle, and then we'll be ready to present this wonderful piece of whimsy and beautiful music by Johann Sebastian Bach.
Be silent, not a word, and listen to what has occurred. Herr Schlendrian comes by, see to his daughter Lizzie there. He growls just like a grizzly bear. 1 minute, and I'll tell you why. Oftentimes are headaches, 100,000 miseries. Children, oftentimes are headaches, 100,000 miseries. 100,000 miseries, 100,000 miseries. Children, oftentimes are headaches, 100,000 miseries. I plead with Lizzie, argue with her till I'm dizzy, but the point she never sees. Every day I plead with Lizzie, argue with her till I'm dizzy, but the point she never sees, but the point she never sees. Day by day I plead with Lizzie, argue with her till I'm dizzy, but the point she never sees. Every day I plead with Lizzie, argue with her till I'm dizzy, argue, moralize, and tease, but the point she never sees. Though I argue till I'm dizzy, yet the point she never sees. Children oftentimes are headaches, 100,000 miseries. oftentimes are headaches, 100,000 miseries, 100,000 miseries, 100,000 miseries. Children are an awful headache, 100,000 miseries, 100,000 miseries. Naughty child, you naughty Lizzie, come, will you never mend your ways? Give up this coffee craze.
Papa dear, please don't be so cross, unless I make you a nice cup of coffee morning, noon, and night. I soon will be a perfect fright, an ugly, dried up nanny goat.
If I see coffee near about, the next time you're invited out, you can just stay at home.
Okay, but coffee has come here to stay.
You infuriate me, my daughter. You cannot have that Dior skirt, so very new and stylish.
That does not worry me one bit.
You cannot have the keys to my car to ride around all day and night.
No matter, but still I implore you that this one wish you'll satisfy.
You may be sure that I'll withhold your cell phone, Facebook, and once more your TikTok altogether.
Oh yeah, well coffee is much better.
You wicked Lizzie, you are so stubborn through and through. Daughters, you are all thick-headed, all of you thick-headed, stubborn nature deep embedded. Daughters, 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 you are all thick-headed, oh so thick-headed, stubborn nature deep embedded, embedded deep, very deep. Daughters, you are all thick-headed, daughters, you are all thick-headed, stubborn nature deep embedded. Yet, if dads are not too dumb, yet, if dads are not too dumb, you may still be overcome, yes, may still be overcome, may still be overcome, may still be overcome. Yes, if dads are not too dumb, if dads are not too dumb, you may still be overcome, may yet be, may still be overcome, overcome, yes, may still be overcome. May yet be overcome, may yet be overcome. Now, listen to your father talk.
Not coffee, for at that I balk.
All right, while with this brew you're busy, no wedding bells will ring for Lizzie.
Oh my, how awful! Not get married!
I swear this is no idle jest.
It's your leisure now is best. Well, coffee, here's goodbye forever. I tell you now, I touch the stuff no more.
I'll find a man both rich and clever.
and wide, to find a man to whom to offer his little Lizzie as a bride. But Liz announces on the sly, no candidate need here apply unless he makes a solemn vow and writes it in the marriage contract too, that he will always let me brew my coffee when I chance to crave it.
As nice as the coffee makes is all the rage with all who use it. As nice as the coffee makes is all the rage with all who use it. When pine marble love the brew, and even grandma loves it true, however can the girl refuse it?
And ma both love the brew, and even grandma loves it too. However can the girl
How can the girls refuse it? And the girls refuse it. As nice as the coffee makes is all the rage with all who use it. As nice as the coffee makes is all the rage with all who use it. When Pa and Ma both love the brew, and even Grandma loves it too, however can the girls refuse it?
When Pa and Ma both love the brew, and even grandma loves it too.
How can the girls refuse it? Can the girls refuse it? Can the girls refuse it? As nice as the coffee makes is all the rage with all who use it.
So Bach did have a lighter side, too. It's really wonderful to be in collaboration with wonderful artists in the Roanoke area. Brooke Tolley from the Roanoke Opera, Charlie Blueweiss from First Presbyterian Church, which has also been our co-host throughout this season. Wonderful to have those voices in the neighborhood. Also, Paul from the Church of the Brethren in town. Thank you so much, Paul Brockman, for that wonderful storytelling and moving rendition of the coffee cantata. Lovely. And please don't forget that we have really wonderful coffee for all of us. We're going to have our concluding piece. This time flies so quickly. The concluding piece on our first season. It seems really remarkable to have the concluding concert of our debut season with the wonderful music of Joseph Ballon, Chevalier de Saint-Georges. A little later, sort of end of the Baroque period, early classical music. In fact, his dates are almost completely synonymous with Mozart. And a wonderful, wonderful composer whose music really was discovered about 10 years ago or so, really languishing in crypts underneath churches and in cellars of various places around France predominantly. And the story is a remarkable one. How many saw the movie Chevalier, which was here in the theaters about a week or two ago? Good, because it was terrible history, but it was wonderful. It was wonderful costuming. So if you get to watch it later on YouTube or Hulu or something, just turn the sound off and look at the costumes. It was really wonderful. Unfortunately, it did not use any of his music throughout the show until the very, very end, and the story turned out to be sort of a twisted version. But nonetheless, a story that's worth telling in its own right. Joseph was born in current Haiti. His father was a rich plantation owner, and his mother was his mistress, a slave in the fields that he took into his household. And remarkably, the father, George Ballon, gave Joseph his name, the Chevalier name and the Saint-Georges title. He couldn't give him his inheritance because that was illegal under French law at the time. But he brought him into the household and treated him as a son along with his daughter from his wife. And he moved the entire family to France when Joseph was a young man. Enrolled him in the best schools. He studied with the finest musicians of the age. And even perhaps more remarkably, he studied with the most important martial artists of the age. And in addition to being an incredible composer, a virtuoso violinist, he was also the fencing champion of Europe in his day. He toured all over Europe. He went to England for fencing matches and is reported only to have lost the very first one he ever had. And after that, he learned his lesson and was the master of fencing from then on. He began his military career in service to the royalty in France, but if you know those dates at all, you know they are synonymous with the French Revolution. And Joseph started out in the service to the king, but became disenchanted and took up the cause of égalité and fraternité, and moved over to the revolutionary side and headed up an entire regiment of African troops that served in the French Revolution for the revolutionary side until he fell out of favor with the Revolutionary Guards and was put in prison. Somehow he managed to keep his head, both literally and figuratively, and he survived the revolution, came back, but his music then was banned by the Bourbon court that replaced the revolution because he had revolutionary sentiments. And so his music was banned and put in basements or burned, and remained unknown for over a century. At the time, he was probably as well known as Mozart. He wrote 4 operas, he wrote many, many symphonies, he wrote a dozen string quartets, and most importantly, he wrote amazing violin concertos that he played in his own concerts. Now, our wonderful guest artist, Lilia, did not write this concerto, but she did help us bring it back to what I am absolutely sure is a Roanoke premiere of this work after only, almost 150 years or 250 years. And I'm pretty sure it's a Virginia premiere. It's quite likely an East Coast premiere. It might well be a North American or Western Hemisphere premiere outside of France, because this work is not even fully available yet in printed music. We had to dig out an old edition of the original printing, and you can see how interestingly that reads on the page. That is one of the clearest pages of the writing. Some of them the notes are what we might call camera obscura. We just sort of had to figure them out. And the violas had to write out 3 of their 4 pages completely fresh on their own. To bring this music back out, it's just now, in the current age, being published and being brought back into the light of the performance venue. So we're really thankful to Lilia for resurrecting this concerto and for the whole orchestra for taking on the task of reading 18th century type to make this performance possible today. And you, of course, make this performance possible today, too, by being supporters of Roanoque Baroque, whether you're here in the room or out there in YouTube land. Feel free to be expressive about that support in any way you'd like. Donations are certainly welcome. You can always go to the St. John website and do that, or you can do it here today, as you may have done already, or be a part of the ongoing vigor of the presentations of Roanoque Baroque. Your presence in the room, your enthusiasm for this project this year has been remarkable. So remarkable, in fact, you can see in your program tonight that we've already announced next year's season. You can look at that. The dates are there, and it's going to be a Bach fest, which doesn't mean it will be all Bach, but it will be a lot of good Bach. We're going to be presenting the entire series of Brandenburg Concerti, one of his most famous sets of orchestral works, and interlace that with some wonderful music from many mediums and some surprises that are coming along the way, too. So hope you can join us again next year. But for now, linger for coffee, but most importantly, enjoy this brilliant work of Joseph Ballon, Chevalier de Saint-Georges.